The morning of my wedding, I woke up knowing I was about to marry a cheater. But what made my blood run cold was not just that my fiancé Soren had betrayed me, it was who he had betrayed me with. My own sister, Eloan. The sister who had helped me pick out my wedding dress, who had thrown me a bridal shower, who was supposed to be my maid of honor in just 6 hours. As I stared at myself in the mirror, still in my pajamas, I made a decision that would change everything. I was not going to cancel this wedding. I was going to use it. Because sometimes, the best revenge is served in front of 200 guests, with cameras rolling and nowhere to hide. Let me take you back to 3 days before my wedding. I had been at Soren's apartment, planning to surprise him with his favorite dinner before our big day. We had been together for 4 years, engaged for 8 months, and I thought I knew everything about this man I was about to marry. I used my spare key to get in, carrying bags of groceries and wearing the biggest smile. The smile died the moment I heard voices coming from his bedroom. Not just any voices, I heard my sister's laugh. That musical laugh I had grown up hearing every day for 26 years. My hands started shaking as I crept closer to the bedroom door, which was slightly open. And there they were. Soren and Eloan, tangled together in his bed, completely naked and completely absorbed in each other. What I saw next will be burned into my memory forever. This was not a moment of weakness or a drunken mistake. They were talking like lovers who had been together for a long time. Eloan was tracing patterns on Soren's chest, and he was playing with her hair like he used to play with mine. "I hate lying to Iris," Eloan whispered, but her tone was not filled with guilt. It sounded almost excited. "She has no idea we've been doing this for 8 months. 8 months. My engagement had lasted 8 months, and my sister had been sleeping with my fiancé the entire time." Soren laughed and pulled her closer. "She's so trusting, it's almost too easy. But after the wedding, we'll have to be more careful. I can't divorce her right away, it would look suspicious." They were planning to continue this affair after my wedding. They were going to let me marry him while they carried on behind my back. I stood there for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes, listening to them plan how they would sneak around during my honeymoon, how they would meet at hotels, how they would continue their relationship while I played the happy wife. The betrayal cut so deep I thought I might physically collapse right there in the hallway. But then something else took over, something cold and calculating. I quietly backed away from the door, left the groceries on his kitchen counter with a note saying, "Can't wait to see you at the altar," and drove home. I spent that entire night sitting in my car in my driveway, crying and planning. By morning, I had made my choice. I was going to give them exactly what they wanted, a wedding day they would never forget. The next 2 days were the hardest acting job of my life. I had to pretend everything was normal while my heart was breaking and my mind was spinning with revenge. I confirmed every detail of our wedding, smiled at dress fittings, and even had lunch with Eloan to discuss her maid of honor speech. She sat across from me at our favorite cafe, talking about how excited she was for my big day, how perfect Soren and I were together, how she could not wait to see me walk down the aisle. The whole time, I was studying her face, looking for any sign of guilt or nervousness. There was none. She was a better actress than I had given her credit for. But I was about to become an even better one. On the morning of my wedding, I woke up at 5 a.m. in the bridal suite of our venue, the Riverside Manor. My bridesmaids were still sleeping, my cousin Grace, my college friend Marlo, and of course Eloan. I watched my sister sleeping peacefully, her blonde hair spread across the pillow, looking innocent as an angel. In just a few hours, she would be standing next to me at the altar, holding my bouquet while I married the man she had been sleeping with for 8 months. The irony was almost too much to handle. I quietly got up and started my morning routine, every action planned and purposeful. Today was going to be a performance, and I intended to give the performance of my lifetime. As the morning progressed, our hotel suite filled with the usual wedding day chaos. Hairstylists, makeup artists, photographers capturing every candid moment of bridal preparation. Eloan was the perfect maid of honor, helping me into my dress, adjusting my veil, telling me how beautiful I looked. "You are going to be the most gorgeous bride," she said, tears in her eyes as she hugged me. "Soren is so lucky to have you." I hugged her back and whispered, "I am lucky to have a sister like you. Someone I can always trust." The photographer captured that moment, two sisters embracing on the wedding day, both with tears in their eyes. But our tears were for very different reasons. As noon approached and the ceremony time drew near, I excused myself to use the bathroom. But instead of going to the restroom, I walked to the venue's AV room where my friend Darian, who worked in tech, was waiting for me. 3 days ago, I had asked him to help me with a surprise wedding video for Soren. What I had actually given him was footage I had secretly recorded on my phone 3 days ago when I went back to Soren's apartment. I used my key one more time, set up my phone to record, and captured a very intimate conversation between my fiancé and my sister. "Everything is set up," Darian told me. "The video will play on all the screens during the reception, right after your first dance. Are you sure you want to do this?" I looked at him with determination I did not know I possessed. I have never been more sure of anything in my life. At 2 p.m., the music started. I stood at the back of the church, arm in arm with my father, looking down the aisle at Soren waiting for me at the altar. He looked handsome in his black tuxedo, smiling that charming smile that had made me fall in love with him 4 years ago. Next to him stood his best man, his brother Caspian. And there at the altar, in her dusty rose bridesmaid dress, was Aloan, beaming with what looked like genuine joy for my happiness. The church was filled with 200 guests, family, friends, coworkers, all there to celebrate what they thought was a love story. As I walked down that aisle, I was not thinking about my vows or my future. I was thinking about justice. The ceremony was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Pastor Williams spoke about love, commitment, and trust while I stared at two people who had destroyed all three for me. When it came time for vows, Soren took my hands and spoke about how I was his best friend, his soulmate, the only woman he could ever love. "I promise to be faithful to you, to honor you, and to cherish you for all the days of my life," he said, looking directly into my eyes. The congregation sighed at his romantic words. I spoke my prepared vows about love and partnership, but inside I was counting down the hours until my real wedding gift would be revealed. When Pastor Williams pronounced us husband and wife, Soren kissed me with what seemed like genuine passion. The crowd cheered, the photographer snapped pictures, and my sister cried happy tears. We were all playing our parts perfectly. The reception at Riverside Manor was everything I had dreamed it would be. The ballroom was decorated with white roses and fairy lights, the band was perfect, and the food was delicious. For 3 hours, I played the happy bride. I smiled for pictures, I danced with my father, I cut the cake with my new husband, and I gave a speech thanking everyone for being there to celebrate our love. Aloan gave her maid of honor speech about how perfect Soren and I were together, how she had never seen two people more meant for each other. She talked about our strong family bond and how excited she was to have Soren as a brother-in-law. The guests laughed and cried at all the right moments. But I was waiting for the moment that would change everything. As 8 p.m. approached, I excused myself from the reception to freshen up. But really, I went to find Darian and make sure everything was ready. "The video is queued up and ready to go," he confirmed. "It will start playing on all the screens as soon as you give me the signal." I checked my reflection in the bathroom mirror one last time. My makeup was still perfect, my hair was still in place, and my wedding dress still looked beautiful. But inside, I felt like a different person than the woman who had gotten dressed that morning. I was about to destroy my marriage on my wedding day, and I felt completely at peace with that decision. Some betrayals are too big to forgive, and some lies are too deep to overlook. I returned to the reception and took my place at the head table next to Soren. He was laughing with his groomsmen, completely relaxed and happy. Aloan was at the table next to ours, chatting with our cousins about wedding planning tips. Everyone was having the time of their lives. I stood up and tapped my champagne glass to get everyone's attention. "Ladies and gentlemen," I announced, "before we continue celebrating, I have a special surprise for my new husband and my beloved sister. I had a video made that I think you will all enjoy." I nodded to Darian, who was standing by the AV equipment. The lights dimmed, and all eyes turned to the large screens around the ballroom. What happened next was like a bomb going off in that beautiful ballroom. The video started playing on every screen, clear footage of Soren and Aloan in bed together, having the conversation I had recorded 3 days earlier. Their voices filled the room through the sound system as they talked about how easy it was to fool me, how they planned to continue their affair after my wedding, and how much they enjoyed sneaking around behind my back. The room went completely silent except for the audio from the video. I watched as the color drained from both Soren's and Aloan's faces. Guests started gasping, some people stood up, others started whispering frantically. My parents looked shocked and confused. Soren's family looked mortified. But I just sat there calmly, watching my revenge unfold exactly as I had planned it. When the video ended, the silence in the ballroom was deafening. Then chaos erupted. Soren jumped up and started yelling, trying to claim the video was fake, that someone had set him up. Aloan ran from the room crying, with our mother chasing after her. Guests were talking loudly, some were leaving, others were taking pictures and videos with their phones. In the middle of all this chaos, I stood up calmly and walked to the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, my voice steady and clear, "thank you for witnessing the end of the shortest marriage in history. I hope you enjoyed the reception. Please take some cake home with you. It would be a shame to let it go to waste." Then I walked out of that ballroom with my head held high, still in my wedding dress, leaving behind a marriage that had lasted exactly 6 hours. 6 months later, my divorce was final. Soren tried to fight it, tried to claim I had humiliated him and damaged his reputation. But when you are caught on video planning to cheat on your wife during your honeymoon, there is not much you can argue in court. Aloan and I have not spoken since that day. Our parents tried to get us to reconcile, but some bridges are meant to stay burned. The story of my wedding day revenge went viral on social media, and while some people called me cruel, most people understood that sometimes betrayal deserves to be exposed in the most public way possible. Today, I am single, happy, and stronger than I have ever been. I learned that it is better to be alone than to be with someone who lies to your face every single day. And sometimes, the best wedding gift you can give yourself is the gift of truth, even when that truth destroys everything you thought you wanted. Trust your instincts, know your worth, and never let anyone make you feel like you deserve less than complete honesty and respect. If this story resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe for more real-life stories about love, betrayal, and finding your strength. Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever discovered a betrayal that changed everything? Remember, you deserve relationships built on trust, not lies. Stay strong and never settle for less than you deserve.